Hello everyone, this is Duan, and this week we're going to look at some of the more advanced JavaScript array method. So filter, sort, and reduce method specifically, and we're going to look at how we can use them in our application. So here I've set up a example in the code sandbox. I'm going to share it in the description below so you can also check it out yourself or code along with me. So here I have two arrays. So the first array is an array of numbers from 1 to 11, and the second array is a cart. So typically you have a shopping cart that will consist of object. For example, so here I have object that has name property, the price, and the count of each object. We're going to use two arrays to demonstrate how we can use the filter, the sort, and the reduce method. So let's get started with the filter method. Let's use the myArray as an example. Let filtered, so we want to filter this array, is equal to myArray.filter. So as you can see, the filter takes in what's called a predicate function. The filter uses predicate function to evaluate which element within the array needs to be filtered out. So if this predicate function returns a truthy value, it will be kept within the array. Otherwise, it will be filtered out. Let's say if we want to keep the numbers that are greater than 5 within this array, so we can do this element greater than 5. And if we console log this, console.log filter array, you can see that all the numbers that are greater than 5 are kept within the array, and the rest is being filtered out because they're less than or equal to 5. And this is pretty much how it works. What we did here is that we put a condition here by comparing the element to 5. If this evaluates to true, then it will be kept within the array. If it evaluates to false, then it will be filtered out. Okay, so let's comment this out. So if we go back to our cart array, we have a number of objects. Let's say if we want to filter out items that are a bit too expensive. Let's say we want to filter out the items that are has a price over 100. So our condition in this case using the filter function will be the items that are less than or equal to 100, right? So let's say we have let filter cart, so we're filtering the cart items, is equal to cart, and we're going to use the filter method, and for each item, this is our predicate function, and the condition we just mentioned is item dot, as you can see we have the price property here, price is less or equal to 100. Okay, so let's console log that as well. Console.log filter the cart, not cart. Okay, so we get this two object. As you can see, we have item 1 and 3 that are less than 100 in terms of price, and the cart item 2 is being filtered out because this evaluated to false. Okay, so let's comment this out. So the next method we're going to be looking at is the sort method. And let's say we're also using the myArray as an example. So sorted array as an example, and will equal to myArray.sort. As you can see, the sort documentation, it takes in what's called a compare function. And if we don't use the compare function, let's see the result. Console.log sorted array. You can see that it's ordered like this 1, 10, 11, and then 2. It's not from the smallest number to biggest number, because the sort method by default, if you don't have any compare functions in place, it will actually convert each element into a string element and compare their Unicode value. So that's why, because the Unicode for 11 is actually smaller than Unicode of 2. That's why 11 comes before 2. So let's say if we want to order from the smallest number to biggest number, the compare function is needed to make this happen. So the compare function takes in two arguments, so a and b. So basically what this function does is to have some sort of criteria to tell the sort function how to order two values, okay? So it's doing this by looking at the return value. So if the return value, let's say return value is negative, then A comes before B, okay? And if the return value is positive, then B comes before A. And if it's 0, the order doesn't change. So 0, no change in order. Okay? So this is how the sort function look at the return value of this compare function, makes a sort happen. So because we want to order it from the smallest number to the biggest number, we will want to return negative value when A is smaller than B. It will be something like this. If A is smaller than B, so A is smaller than B, then it will return a negative value. For example, I will say negative 1. Or if A is greater than B, it will return a positive one. Any positive number is fine. And if A is equal to B, in this case, it will return 0. And as you can see, it's been sorted from smallest to biggest number. But commonly, you don't see this. This is pretty long expression. Commonly, you would just say A minus B because if A is greater than B, then this will be a positive number, and then the B will come before A, and vice versa if A is smaller than B. Okay, so basically that's how the sort method works. Let's see if we can sort the array of objects for our cart example. So here we have cart with different count number. Let's say we want to order them by the count number from the biggest count to the smallest count. It's pretty much the same as we had before. Let's comment out this one and this one. So let sorted cart equals to cart dot sort. Because we're comparing the integer value, we'll use the compare function. So A and B. This time A and B are actually objects. So we'll use B dot count minus A dot count. So we're ordering from the biggest count to the smallest count. That's why it's B count minus A count. And let's console log it. Console log. So clear the console, sorted cart, and here you can see the count is ordered from 5 to 1. Okay, let's comment this out. Okay, so the last method we're going to look at is the reduce method. It's probably one of the harder ones to understand among those three methods. You actually look at each element within the array and condense it down to one value. So let's look at how it works. So we're going to use my array as an example again. So let reduced array, reduced, let's say value this time because they actually reduced down to a single value. So it will be my array dot reduce. As you can see, the reduce method also takes in a callback function. Okay, so the callback function has a previous value and the current value, a current index, and the array. The current index will be the index for each element in the array, and the array will be the original array. And the previous value really depends on the second argument, which is the initial value. So let's have the function in place here. So let's say previous value, the current value, current, and index, and also the array. And this is a function that returns something, and then we'll have an initial value here. Okay, so if there's no initial declared, for example, or the first previous value will be the 11. If the initial value is declared, then the first previous value will be the initial value, okay? So it goes from the first value all the way to the last value in the array. So let's see how we can use it for myArray. For this particular example, let's say we want to get the sum for this array. What we can do is we can specify an initial of 0, because if the array is empty, we want to make sure that it's not looking at the previous or the current value. It will just use the 0 instead. We're not going to use index or array for this particular problem, so we'll just use the previous and current. So all we need to do is add those two together, previous plus current. So let's console log this and see the result. Console log reduced value. Let's clear this. Let's first reduce value. And that's 66. So 1 all the way to 11 is 66. And that works. And how it works exactly is that, okay, so it looks at this function and it looks at the previous value. So the first value will be the initial value 0, 0, and the current value will be the first element in the array. So the first element is 11. It will add 0 to 11. And then the next current value will be 4, and the previous value will be what we just added. So 0 plus 11 is 11. And it will be 11 plus 4. And the next one will be the result of 11 plus 4 and then plus 2 and so on, so forth. So the reduce val has a lot of other uses as well. For example, you can also flatten an array with it. You can reformat your arrays into groups and things like that. So let's see how the common cases for working with array of object using the reduce function. So here we have a cart array, and let's say for a shopping cart, we obviously want to know the total cost for all the items in our cart. So how do we do this? We need to count the total price of each item. So price times count, and then we need to add them all together. The reduce method is actually perfect for this. So it will be the same as before. So let's say total is equal to cart.reduce. And in this case, we're going to have a callback function that will do some logic. And then let's say we initialize it with a 0 value, because if the cart is empty, the total cost will be 0. Okay. And then we also have a previous and the current. But the current in this case are actually object instead of numbers. So what we can do is previous plus the previous will be the cumulative cost that we calculated before, and the current will be current dot price times current dot count. Okay, basically what we're doing is we're starting from 0, and then for each element we want to add the total price for each item into our total, and we're doing this from all the object in the array. Let's see if it works. Console.log. Let's clear the console. Total. As you can see, we get 524.62. And this is the total price. And it looks like it's correct. And yeah, so that's everything you need to know for the filter, sort, and reduce. You can also combine them together or use it for a lot of different scenarios, but they're actually really useful in building website applications. You see a lot of use cases for them. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment below. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.